Close your eyes for a moment and imagine the voice inside your head, the one that's been whispering doubts, fears, and you can't. Now imagine flipping the switch and turning that voice into your fiercest ally, your relentless motivator, the engine that drives you toward everything you've ever wanted. That voice is not your enemy. It's your superpower waiting to be claimed, and the moment you rewrite it, you change everything. Let's dive deep into the first key point, awareness of self-talk. Every day, your mind produces thousands of thoughts, most of them automatic, fleeting, and unnoticed. These thoughts may seem harmless, but they are the silent architects of your life. Every belief, every decision, every emotion you experience starts with a thought, and the quality of those thoughts determines the quality of your life. If your inner dialogue is filled with doubt, criticism, or fear, it doesn't matter how much external opportunity you have. Your mind will filter it through that lens of limitation. Awareness of self-talk means pausing long enough to notice these internal patterns, to catch the recurring phrases and judgments that subtly shape your confidence and actions. Most people operate on autopilot, reacting to life without ever realizing how often they are sabotaging themselves with negative internal scripts. Becoming aware requires honesty and courage because it often means confronting uncomfortable truths. The I'm not good enoughs, the I'll fail if I tries, and the endless comparisons that have crept into your thinking without permission. But awareness is not about shame or judgment. It's about illumination. Once you see the inner dialogue clearly, you gain power over it. You start to notice the triggers, the contexts, and the patterns that keep you trapped. For instance, certain situations may spark fear or hesitation automatically, but by observing your internal narrative, you can separate fact from interpretation, reality from story. You can recognize that a thought like, I can't handle this, is not an objective truth. It's a conditioned response, one you can challenge. Awareness also allows you to discover the hidden strengths in your self-talk. Perhaps there are moments when your mind naturally encourages you, urges you to take a step forward, or reminds you of your resilience. These moments, however fleeting, are proof that your inner dialogue is not fixed. It is fluid, responsive, and capable of transformation. The more consistently you practice this awareness, the more control you develop. You start noticing the moments when fear whispers stop and consciously choose a different response. You catch yourself in cycles of self-criticism and intentionally redirect toward curiosity, learning, and empowerment. Awareness of self-talk is the foundation of change because you cannot change what you do not see until you shine a light on your internal patterns. They will continue to drive your decisions unconsciously, keeping you stuck in limitations you believe are permanent. By simply observing without rushing to fix or judge, you begin the process of reclaiming your mind. You realize that your inner dialogue is not your master. It is a tool, a mirror, and a compass ready to serve you if only you pay attention and start listening with intent. Every word you speak to yourself carries weight. Words are not just sounds or symbols. They are powerful signals that shape your beliefs, emotions, and ultimately your destiny. The way you talk to yourself builds the lens through which you see the world. When your internal language is negative, critical, or limiting, it plants seeds of doubt that grow into hesitation, fear, and inaction. Conversely, when your inner dialogue is purposeful, supportive, and empowering, it becomes a force that propels you forward, even in the face of adversity. Most people underestimate the impact of their self-directed words because they appear internal and private. But make no mistake, these words are not silent. They trigger chemical responses in the brain, influencing your energy, confidence, and ability to take decisive action. Consider how often you say to yourself, I can't do this, I'm not good enough, or I'll never succeed. Each repetition strengthens a neural pathway of limitation, making that belief feel more real and more inevitable. The brain cannot distinguish between statements of fear and statements of truth. It simply records them, reacts to them, and reinforces the patterns that dominate your mental environment. Understanding this gives you extraordinary leverage. It means that by changing the words you choose internally, You are literally rewiring your mind. It's not about pretending or lying to yourself. It's about replacing disempowering narratives with words that reflect possibility, competence, and resilience. Every affirmation, every deliberate shift in phrasing, every moment you consciously choose to speak encouragement to yourself rewires your thought patterns and strengthens your capacity for success. Words are the architects of your reality because they shape perception before action ever occurs. Even done when you repeatedly tell yourself you are capable, creative, and deserving, your mind begins to search for evidence to support that truth, opening doors to opportunities you may have otherwise ignored. The challenge is consistency. One positive stat team. Net T here or there is not enough to counter decades of internalized limitation. Transformation happens when words become habitual, when your self-talk is consistently aligned with the person you intend to become. You begin to notice a shift, not only in how you feel, but in how you act. Language becomes a compass guiding choices, influencing behavior, and reinforcing belief. By mastering the words you use internally, you create a foundation for confidence, courage, and unstoppable momentum that carries through every aspect of life. It is not a trivial change. It is a fundamental re-engineering of your mind. An acknowledgement that the voice inside you is not a judge to obey, but a tool to direct with intention, shaping the path of your life with precision and power. Every moment of your life, you are faced with choices, some small, some monumental, but the most powerful choice you will ever make is how you respond to the voice inside your head. That voice does not dictate your destiny unless you allow it to. The truth is that your inner dialogue is not some uncontrollable force. It is a reflection of the stories you have accepted, the beliefs you have repeated, and the habits you have unconsciously nurtured. To step into true personal power, you must claim full responsibility for that dialogue. You must recognize that every thought, every word, and every reaction is a decision. And with each decision comes the opportunity to either limit yourself or unleash your potential. Most people live under the illusion that life happens to them, that circumstances define their outcomes, or that their internal negativity is unavoidable. But this is a choice. You have the capacity to interrupt old scripts, to stop repeating patterns that no longer serve you, and to consciously construct new ones that align with your highest goals. Choosing empowering self-talk is not about denial of reality. It is about deliberately deciding to engage with life from a position of strength rather than fear. It is a refusal to let doubt dictate your actions, and a commitment to speak to yourself in ways that foster courage, resilience, and possibility. Responsibility in this context is not a burden. It is freedom. The moment you understand that your mind is not a passive observer, but an active participant in creating your experiences, you gain the authority to rewrite your story. Every time fear whispers, you can choose to respond with, I can, and I will learn. Every time self-doubt arises, you can consciously redirect your focus towards solutions, growth, and opportunity. This is the essence of personal leadership. Owning not just what you do, but how you think and how you speak to yourself. It is easy to blame external circumstances, people, or luck for limitations, but real transformation begins when you stop pointing outward and start turning inward. Choosing responsibility for your inner dialogue is a daily moment-to-moment practice. It is making a habit of noticing limiting thoughts and consciously replacing them with empowering alternatives. It is taking full ownership of your narrative, refusing to let the unconscious chatter control your actions, and actively shaping your identity through intentional thought. By embracing this choice, you step into a state of mastery over your mind. You no longer react automatically to fear, insecurity, or criticism. You respond with intention, conviction, and clarity. Every choice to speak with purpose strengthens your mental resilience and builds a foundation from which extraordinary results become inevitable. And every decision you make inside your mind ripples outward, creating a life defined not by circumstance, but by conscious Deliberate action. Transformation does not happen by chance. It happens through repetition, practice, and consistent action. Awareness, insight, and intention are the first steps, but without reinforcement, they remain ideas rather than reality. Your inner dialogue is like a muscle. If you never exercise it, it remains weak and underdeveloped, easily overwhelmed by old habits and external pressures. The bridge between understanding and change. It is the deliberate ongoing effort to speak to yourself with clarity, courage, and purpose, ensuring that the empowering thoughts you cultivate are not fleeting, but become automatic. Every time you consciously replace a limiting thought with an encouraging one, you strengthen a neural pathway that supports growth and resilience. This is not about forcing positivity or ignoring challenges. It is about training your mind to respond with strength, even in the face of difficulty. When you encounter setbacks, the reinforced dialogue acts as a stabilizer, reminding you of your capability and resilience, rather than triggering panic or self-doubt. Reinforcement also means embedding your new inner dialogue into daily rituals. It can be through affirmations, journaling, reflective pauses, or consciously repeating empowering statements when confronted with stress. The key is consistency. Just as physical training requires repetition to build endurance and strength, mental training requires continual engagement to rewire old patterns and solidify new ones. Over time, what once required conscious effort becomes instinctive. You begin to automatically respond to challenges with confidence, creativity, and resolve. Reinforcement is about persistence, choosing moment after moment to listen to the voice that encourages, motivates, and inspires, rather than the one that criticizes or doubts. It is also about observation, noticing which reinforcements are effective and which thoughts still need reshaping, adjusting your approach with intention and precision. Through this disciplined practice, the mind shifts from a reactive state to a proactive one. You are no longer a passenger reacting to circumstance. You become the driver of your thoughts, steering your mental energy toward empowerment and possibility. This consistent action compounds over time. Each day of intentional reinforcement adds another layer of resilience, clarity, and focus, gradually transforming the subconscious narratives that have held you back. Reinforcement creates momentum. Small, deliberate actions repeated consistently produce a wave of change that carries into every aspect of life, from decision-making to relationships to personal achievement. It ensures that the empowering words you speak internally are not temporary boosts, but the foundation of a lasting, unstoppable mindset that supports growth, mastery, and the realization of your fullest potential. Every single person reading this, listening to this, thinking about their life, has a belief system running quietly in the background. Most of the time, we don't even realize it's there. We go through our routines, we make decisions, we choose paths, and we assume we're acting freely. But the truth is, almost every decision is influenced, shaped, and often restricted by invisible beliefs we inherited, absorbed, or created over time. And here's the kicker. There is usually one central belief that acts like a silent puppeteer, holding your potential hostage without you even noticing it. It's subtle, it's invisible, and it's deadly in its effectiveness. It could be the thought that you're not smart enough, not talented enough, not lucky enough, or not deserving enough. Maybe it started in childhood, planted by parents, teachers, or peers, whispered in a passing comment that stayed with you longer than it should have. Maybe it formed after a failure, a heartbreak, or a moment where someone doubted you, and you took that doubt and made it your own. The real danger is that because this belief is hidden, it controls your actions while masquerading as the truth. You tell yourself, I tried, but it's not for me. Or I can't do that because I'm not capable. And because you believe it, your mind starts filtering reality around it. Opportunities disappear, doors close, and yet you think it's just life being hard. But it's not life being hard. It's your mind enforcing a rule that isn't real. Every single day, that belief whispers to you, shaping your thoughts, your choices, and the way you show up in the world. The people who achieve extraordinary results, the people who seem to leap past obstacles effortlessly, are not superhuman. In They have simply recognized the invisible chains holding them back, and they have taken them off. Awareness is the first step. You can't fight an enemy you can't see, and you cannot overcome a limitation you cannot identify. That belief that's controlling your behavior right now, the one keeping you small, quiet, cautious, or fearful, that's the one you need to confront. It's not about blaming yourself or beating yourself up. It's about shining a light on it, looking at it objectively, and realizing that it doesn't define you. That thought you've carried for years, thinking it's just who you are, is actually just a story, a narrative you've accepted without proof. And once you see it clearly, once you recognize it for what it is, you can start to change your trajectory. You can start to make choices unconstrained by invisible limits. You can finally step into the life you've been dreaming about without realizing that you were holding yourself back all along. Every belief you carry has a price tag, whether you realize it or not, and most of the time, the cost is far higher than anyone notices. That single limiting belief, the one that whispers, "You're not enough," the one that makes you second guess yourself, procrastinate, or settle, is silently shaping your future in ways you don't even see. It's not just in your mind, it's in your life. It determines the choices you make, the risks you take, and the opportunities you allow to pass by. Think about it. How many dreams have you let go of because of a voice in your head saying you couldn't do it? How many chances have disappeared while you were convincing yourself that now wasn't the right time, that you weren't ready, or that someone else was better? That belief doesn't just limit what you do today. It compounds over time, creating a future that is far smaller than the one you are capable of. Every opportunity avoided, every idea unpursued, every bold action you didn't take because of fear, that's the toll. And here's the brutal truth. It's not just about missed chances, it's about missed identity. You aren't just losing opportunities, you're losing pieces of who you could have become. The life you're living today is a direct result of the beliefs you held yesterday. That's why the stakes are so high. People settle for mediocrity, not because the world is holding them down, but because they have allowed a belief to quietly dictate what is possible. The belief becomes an invisible barrier shaping your relationships, your career, your health, and even the dreams you think are realistic. And the scary part is it feels normal. You get used to it. You start rationalizing, saying this is just how life is. But it isn't how life has to be. It's a reflection of the boundaries your mind has imposed on itself. Eve, right? Extraordinary person you've ever admired, every innovator, every leader, every person who changed their life dramatically. They understood the cost of staying small. They understood that one belief could hold them hostage, and they refused to pay it any longer. And you have that same choice. You can continue to allow that limiting thought to dictate your life, silently robbing you of happiness, success, and fulfillment. Or you can identify it, challenge it, and refuse to let it control your future. The moment you realize the price you've been paying, the moment you see clearly how much you've given away to a thought that isn't true, is the moment you step into freedom. That awareness is power, because once you see the cost, you can make a conscious decision to stop paying it and start investing in yourself and your potential. The moment you realize that belief has been controlling you is the moment everything changes, because awareness alone is not enough. You have to act. Empowerment doesn't come from waiting for the world to change. It comes from recognizing that you hold the power to choose your response, your path, your destiny. Every thought you allow to run unchecked, every belief you unquestioningly accept, is a choice you made, whether consciously or unconsciously. And here's the liberating truth. You can choose differently starting right now. You can decide that each story you've been telling yourself, the story that says you're not capable, not worthy, or not ready, is simply that, a story. And stories can be rewritten. The power of choice is absolute. It doesn't matter what happened yesterday, last year, or a decade ago. It doesn't matter how many times you failed or how many people doubted you. Each moment is an opportunity to choose differently, to challenge the belief that has been holding you hostage, and to take action that aligns with the life you actually want. Empowerment is not about avoiding fear, hesitation, or doubt. It's about taking control despite them. It's about stepping forward even when the voice inside your head is screaming that you can't. Because choice is where freedom lives. It's where transformation begins. When you decide to challenge the belief, You begin to experiment with new behaviors, new ways of thinking, and new possibilities. You start to take small actions that defy what that limiting belief has been telling you for years. And each step builds momentum. And momentum is everything. The more you choose empowerment over limitation, the more you train your mind to reject the old narrative. The more you choose action over hesitation, the more proof you create that the belief was never true. And suddenly, the world that once seemed constrained, limited, and impossible begins to expand. Doors open, opportunities appear. Confidence grows, not because the world has changed, but because you have changed. You are no longer a passive participant in your life, you are an active creator. And the best part, choice is contagious. When you model courage, decisiveness, and belief in yourself, you influence everyone around you to step into their own power. You break cycles, challenge norms, and redefine what's possible, not just for yourself, but for the people you touch. Every choice you make against that limiting belief is a declaration that your future is not dictated by fear, doubt, or old narratives, but by your willingness to step into your own potential and take full responsibility for what you create. Once you break free from that limiting belief and embrace the power of choice, something incredible happens. Your vision expands. Fear no longer acts as a wall in front of you. It becomes a compass pointing toward the areas where growth is waiting. Most people never see this because they allow fear to define their boundaries. They convince themselves that their dreams are too big, that the risks are too high, that they might fail, and so they stay small, hidden, and comfortable. But the truth is, the only thing holding you back from creating a life of extraordinary possibilities is the narrative you've been accepting as reality. When you push past fear, when you step beyond the voice that T says, you can't, you discover a version of yourself that you didn't know existed. That version is brave, confident, and willing to stretch further than you thought possible. You realize that fear isn't a signal to stop, it's a signal to pay attention, to prepare, and to act. Every bold step you take, every decision to move forward despite uncertainty, rewires your mind and strengthens your courage. Your vision begins to grow because you're no longer limited by what has happened before, by the people who doubted you, or by the safe choices that feel comfortable but small. You start to see opportunities that were invisible when you were trapped in old beliefs. Doors that once seemed closed suddenly swing open, not because luck intervened, but because your mindset has shifted. You begin to imagine bigger dreams, to set higher goals, to believe that the extraordinary is not only possible, it's inevitable when you commit fully. And the more you act, the clearer the vision becomes. The world that once seemed constrained now feels limitless. You start to realize that your potential is not a static number. It's a constantly expanding force that grows as you push against fear. Vision beyond fear isn't about recklessness, it's about clarity, courage, and unwavering commitment to yourself. It's about creating a roadmap for your life that excites you, challenges you, and makes you proud to be in your own story. And the most empowering part is that this vision doesn't just benefit you, it inspires everyone around you. Your courage to move beyond fear becomes a beacon, showing others that their limiting beliefs can be broken too. Every time you choose to step into your vision, to act despite uncertainty, to reach for more than you thought possible, you're not just transforming your life, you're proving to yourself that fear is a signal, not a barrier, and that your future is only limited by the imagination and courage you bring to it.